We're planning a wedding and we're not using a wedding planner for our interfaith and intercultural wedding. Through some of the reasons why. I've written down some notes in terms of kind of what led to our decision, as well as why this is a good decision for us as we're going through it. So initially, one of the main driving forces behind this decision was also the ease and the enjoyment of the research process. Both of us really got into researching different vendors and reading other people's stories. Both me and my fiance are really heavy into research, and there's so many tools online to learn about what other people have used, what vendors they recommend, what vendors they don't, and that just made it a fun, enjoyable process. So it was very easy for us to find different vendors, sort through the ones we preferred, the ones we didn't, and then reach out to them. So that was reason number one. And then reason number two is, once we had our short list of vendors and we started talking to them, whether it be the venue, photographer, videographer, or the DJ, one of the things that I really loved, and it has helped hone my skills, was negotiation skills. Because when you're talking to vendors, negotiation is a part of the communication, and it's been so much fun and just really cool to experiment with different negotiation styles, and it's helped me hone my communication skills, and it's in a weird way also built my confidence with the idea and concept of negotiating and being firm with things that we need and being flexible with things we don't. And it's been a great learning opportunity for both of us, where we're learning different skills of different vendors, and then we're also portraying kind of what we thought and the ideas we have. And then finally, like I said, the negotiation aspect has been really fun. So that fun would have been taken away if we went with a wedding planner, because they would be the middle person, which is the point of them, but I'm talking through why we did not want that. So it's allowed me to grow my skill set, and it's also just taught us a lot about the wedding industry and the different way different businesses operate and what to stand for and what not to stand for. So it's the research has been fun, the negotiation has been fun. Some parts have been stressful, like trying to communicate with a makeup person was the worst part of it, but I'll get into that in a different video. Another reason was, when we were looking online, we read quite a few stories about wedding planners inflating costs of different vendors, especially the most expensive vendor, which is probably the venue. A lot of stories we were coming across were that the wedding planner would inflate the cost of the venue itself, and you're in the dark because they're the ones communicating with the venue, and they can kind of say whatever, and then they would take that profit and pocket it themselves. And that is a big no-no. That is so dishonest, and not down for that, especially with something as expensive as a wedding. And that's also one of the reasons why, for a majority of our vendors, we were specific that we wanted to go with vendors that had their pricing listed online. Not all of our finalized vendors did, but most did. So that was reason number four, where we did not want to get, conned by certain types of wedding planners. And then another reason was, my thing is, like, if I can coordinate with a wedding planner and meet with a wedding planner regularly, then I can also coordinate with vendors and meet with them. And most things were virtual. Like, the one thing that was in person obviously was the venue search, but most other vendors, the communication was virtual, where we hopped on a Zoom call or talked on the phone. So if I can do that with a wedding planner, then I have the time to do that with different vendors as well. Finally, I kind of touched on this, but we genuinely felt like with this digital age, there were more than enough tools online for us to sort through different types of weddings, different types of experiences, and find vendors that way. So we did not feel like we were too much, like we did not feel like we were struggling in that aspect. Like, we were able to cast a wide enough net based on other people's stories online and go off their experiences and the vendors they recommend. So we felt like all the information was already there. We just had to compile it and then sort through it and then decide what we wanted, and that was kind of what it was. So it just felt counterintuitive for us to have a wedding planner, especially when we liked the research portion, like I said, and we enjoyed the communication aspect, and we just wanted to kind of figure it out ourselves. And one caveat is, though, in the wedding planning process, I have learned I absolutely hate stationery. Absolutely hate it. Cannot be bothered with it. Don't care for wedding invitations. Don't care for the font. Could not give any sort of a care for that. But this is where the partnership comes in, because the parts that I don't enjoy, my fiance is able to pick up on that, and the parts he doesn't enjoy, I'm able to pick up on that. So we are good at delegating as well as working together on all of this. So it's also like a fun little project that's what it feels like. So I don't know, it literally just feels like a little bit of project management, and I've handled projects that were much worse and much more stressful than this. But yeah, those were some of the reasons why we decided not to use a wedding planner for our interfaith and intercultural wedding. Another one obviously is the finances as well. Everything is so expensive, so also we have to be very decisive about where we want to spend the money and where we don't, where we think it's going to be beneficial to us and where it's not going to be beneficial for us. So yeah, those were some of the reasons.